Hello students, moving forward, in this session we are going to discuss about mechanism of breathing, which means exactly how oxygen rich air enters our body and carbon dioxide rich air goes out of our body. So there is one important concept here which helps oxygen rich air come in and carbon dioxide rich air go outside your body. So let's see. Breathing. Breathing basically involves inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation is intake of air and exhalation is giving out of carbon dioxide rich air. So what is breathing? Breathing is one inhalation, one exhalation. One time you take in air, one time you release air will be called as one breathe. Okay, now what happens in inhalation and what happens in exhalation? That is, here you can see inhalation, intake of fresh air. Alternate contraction and relaxation of diaphragm helps in this inhalation and exhalation. So let's see what happens in inhalation. Okay, first we will talk about inhalation and later on exhalation. So let's see, as I discussed in the last session, that the respiratory system consists of a very important muscular system or a muscular structure present at the end of a chest cavity or thoracic cavity, that is said to be diaphragm. Okay, this diaphragm is present at the end of your thoracic region and it supports your lungs. This is when it is in relaxed state, it is dome shaped. Okay, we generally consider relaxed state as a straight state, but here it is opposite. The diaphragm is in dome shaped when it is in relaxed stage. Okay, so initially the diaphragm is in dome stage. What happens during inhalation? The first step is that the diaphragm contracts and moves downwards. So when the diaphragm contracts, it becomes straight like this, and because it is dome shape, it comes downwards. So the first step is diaphragm contracts and moves downwards. Now if the diaphragm contracts, okay, what will happen in the chest region? Now suppose here is diaphragm, right? I'll just draw it here. Suppose you have diaphragm like this. Now imagine it's become straight. So what will happen here? The space in the thoracic cavity will increase. Just imagine this situation. This is a dome shape, and when you just put your hand in a dome shape and now flatten your hands, what will happen? The space above your hand will start increasing. So what happens when the diaphragm contracts and becomes straight? The space in the thoracic cavity increases, and when the space in the thoracic cavity increases, what happens? The ribs, which are there to protect the lungs, the ribs moves first outwards, upwards, and then outwards. Okay, what will happen first? The diaphragm will relax. The diaphragm will contract. Then it will give some space in the thoracic cavity, because of which what will happen? The ribs will move upwards. It is going up and outwards. Okay. Then if the ribs are coming out, lungs will also get some space, right? So what happens? The lungs become enlarged. The lungs increase in size. And because the lungs increase in size, what happens? The volume increases. Lungs increase in size, or you can say lungs expand. When the lungs expand, so you can see here now the lungs has expand. What will happen? Volume increases. Volume is the area present inside the lung. So volume increases, and if the volume increases, what happens? Pressure decreases, because volume and pressure are inversely proportional to each other. If volume increases, pressure decreases. And there is one important concept. It is always said that air always moves from the region of high pressure to the region of low pressure. Okay, please remember this concept, that air always moves from the region of high pressure to the region of low pressure. Now what I said, volume of lungs increases, right? I just put a sign here, increases. If the volume increases, what will happen to the pressure? Since volume is inversely proportional to pressure, it is inversely proportional to pressure, right? If volume increases, pressure will decrease. If pressure increases, volume will decrease. Here the volume is increasing, hence the pressure decreases. Now the pressure inside the lungs is less, right? And the outside pressure, the atmospheric air pressure is more. And according to this concept, what happens? Air always moves from the region of high pressure to the region of low pressure. Can you imagine the situation that in the atmosphere, suppose this is your lungs, right? Here in the atmosphere, this is rough diagram, okay? Here in the atmosphere, the pressure is, I'll just put it another color, the pressure is more, and because the lungs has expanded here, the pressure is less here, and air always moves from the region of high pressure to low pressure. Hence the air will start moving from the environment into your lungs, and this is how we inhale air. So let's see the steps again. First, what will happen? Very important step. Diaphragm contracts. Okay, don't say relaxation, because it is opposite. When it contracts, what happens? The next step, it becomes flat and increases. I'm just putting the sign. Increases the surface area in thoracic, or you can say chest cavity. Thoracic cavity. Okay. Next step, after diaphragm contracts, becomes flat and increases the surface. Next step, what will happen to the lungs? No, first, before the lungs comes into picture, ribs will come out. Okay. So what will happen? Ribs will move upwards and outwards. Okay. Finally, if the ribs are moving out, what will happen? Lungs expand. If the lungs expand, what will happen? And volume increases, right? If volume increases, what happens? Pressure decreases, right? And then the next step you can write, air moves from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, high pressure to low pressure. Since the pressure inside the lungs is less, air moves inside. So these are the important steps you have to remember. Diaphragm contracts, becomes flat, ribs moves upwards and outwards, lungs expand, volume increases, pressure decreases. And since air always moves from high pressure to low pressure, the atmospheric pressure is high and the pressure inside the lungs is less, hence we inhale air. Now what you will say for exhalation then? Exactly opposite. Okay, exhalation. What happens in exhalation? It will be exactly opposite. First, what will happen? Diaphragm relax. Okay, diaphragm relaxes. If it relaxes, it becomes dome shaped, right? If it becomes dome shaped, what will happen? Decrease in surface area, right, of thoracic cavity, of chest cavity. If the thoracic cavity decreases, ribs moves inwards and downwards. Exactly opposite. Ribs will try to move inwards because there is no space. If the ribs are going inwards, what will happen to the lungs? Lungs will decrease in size, right? Then if they are decreasing in size, what will happen? Volume decreases. If the volume decreases, what happens? Pressure increases. Very important step you have to remember, volume and pressure. And since pressure inside the lungs is more, air moves from high pressure to low pressure. So atmospheric pressure is less at this time, and hence air will be exhaled out. Carbon dioxide rich air will be exhaled out. So please remember very two important concepts here. What happens? First, the diaphragm contracts, And second, the diaphragm relax. If the volume increases, pressure decreases, and air always moves from the region of high pressure to low pressure. Okay, this is about mechanism of breathing, exactly why carbon dioxide rich air comes in and why oxygen rich air comes in and carbon dioxide rich air goes out. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can write in the comment section. If you really like my videos, please click on the like button and do subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.